A whimsical world, a cast that brought magic to life, yet behind the scenes, reality was far less sweet. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, enchanted audiences with its dazzling sets and unforgettable performances, but the lives of its stars took unexpected paths. Some embraced fame, while others stepped away from the spotlight entirely. Over 5 decades later, where are they now? From career shifts to personal struggles, their journeys are as surprising as Wonka's factory itself. Join us as we uncover the fascinating twists and turns in the lives of the actors who once held the golden tickets. Jack Albertson, who portrayed the sprightly and endearing Grandpa Joe in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 62 when he took on the role. His portrayal of a whimsical, bedridden grandfather who springs to life for his grandson's golden opportunity added heart and humor to the film. Off-screen, Albertson's life was marked by unspoken grief. A veteran vaudevillian and Broadway actor, his career waned after the early 70s. Though he won awards, roles dried up, and he often expressed feelings of being forgotten. He married Wallace Thompson in 1952, and they had one daughter, Maura, though their relationship was strained, and he was mostly absent during her upbringing. Rumors of infidelity plagued the marriage, which ended bitterly in the mid-1970s. In his final years, Albertson struggled with colon cancer, which he kept hidden while still appearing in films. He passed away in 1981 at 74, in a modest home in Hollywood Hills. His estate, valued at an estimated $500,000, was left mostly to his daughter, though they had been estranged for years. He died believing his finest work had been overlooked, and that the world would remember Grandpa Joe more than Jack Albertson. Peter Ostrom, who played the humble, golden-hearted Charlie Bucket, was just 12 years old when he starred in what would become his first and only film, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. His soft-spoken, sincere portrayal captured hearts worldwide, but behind the innocence was a growing discomfort with fame. Ostrom declined further roles, returning to a quiet life in Ohio. He eventually became a veterinarian, treating large animals and leading an unassuming existence far removed from Hollywood. He married Loretta Zaleski in the 1980s and had 2 children, Helen and Leaf. While his marriage has endured, friends say it has been marred by his occasional depression and the persistent shadow of the film he walked away from. He rarely speaks publicly about Willy Wonka, only appearing at select anniversary events. He has suffered the loss of both parents and a brother to cancer, events that profoundly affected him. Now 67, Ostrom lives privately and modestly, with an estimated net worth of $1.2 million, mostly from veterinary practice and limited royalties. He has no regrets, but admits to carrying the weight of what could have been. Roy Kinnear, who played the bumbling yet wealthy Mr. Salt in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, brought levity and satire to the overindulgent father of Veruca. His comedic genius shone through in every awkward movement and exasperated expression. At 38 during filming, Kinnear was already a celebrated British actor. Yet behind his booming laugh lay lifelong insecurity about his weight and worth. Though married to actress Carmel Cryan, their marriage was troubled, punctuated by long separations and his excessive drinking. They had 3 children, including actor Rory Kinnear, though Roy often admitted he felt like a ghost in his children's lives due to constant work and personal battles. His later career was marked by typecasting and diminishing roles, pushing him to take riskier work. In 1988, during filming in Spain, he fell from a horse and suffered a fatal heart attack caused by internal injuries. He died at just 54, leaving behind a grieving family and an industry shocked by the negligence on set. His estate was estimated at £750,000 at the time, much of which was used for legal battles that followed his death. His legacy is bittersweet, a beloved comic who died pursuing a craft that often failed to love him back. Denise Nickerson was just 13 when she dazzled audiences as Violet Beauregarde in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, the brash gum chewer turned blueberry. Her sharp wit and fearless energy made her unforgettable, but the fame that followed was anything but kind. After Willy Wonka, she landed a few roles, most notably on Dark Shadows, but her career quickly faded. By 21, she had left acting altogether, tired of rejection and exploitation. She married Rick Keller, a computer technician, but he died of a brain aneurysm 2 years later. They had one son, Josh, whom she raised alone while working office jobs and battling depression. She later remarried but divorced quickly, citing emotional abuse. Nickerson endured a stroke in 2018, which left her partially incapacitated. In 2019, after complications from pneumonia and a massive seizure, her family took her off life support. She died at 62 in a Colorado nursing home. Her estate, mostly composed of modest savings and a few residual checks, was estimated at $80,000. Denise died feeling abandoned by Hollywood and misunderstood by fans who only remembered the gum, not the girl behind it. Nora Denny, who portrayed the prim and proper Mrs. TV in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, brought a satirical edge to the overindulgent mother of the trigger-happy Mike TV in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971. A gifted comedic actress, she had already made a name for herself in television before landing the role. Though she found steady work afterward in small supporting roles, she never regained the same level of fame, often relegated to background characters. Denny married stage actor Jack Denny in the 1950s, but the couple divorced in 1972 following years of emotional distance and financial strain. They had 2 sons, Andrew and Matthew, both of whom distanced themselves from the entertainment world and later from their mother. Denny suffered a breakdown in the early 80s and lived a reclusive life in her later years. She was diagnosed with early-onset dementia in her 60s and spent her final years in a care facility, passing away in 2005 at the age of 78 from complications of a stroke. Once known for her impeccable timing and poise, her legacy faded quietly. Her estate was estimated at just $200,000 at the time of her death, with most of her belongings left to a distant niece. Paris the Man, who played the egotistical, television-obsessed Mike TV in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory at just 11 years old, embodied the hyperactive and irreverent spirit of the 1970s child. Though his youthful bravado made him unforgettable in the film, the men struggled to transition out of that image. After a few brief acting gigs, he disappeared from Hollywood, earning a business degree before bouncing between obscure jobs, from real estate to financial advising, none of which brought lasting success. His marriage to talent agent Ruth Gardner in 1992 was short-lived, ending in 1996 amid allegations of infidelity and financial mismanagement. They had one daughter, Chelsea, who later changed her name and ceased contact. Haunted by lost opportunities and bouts of depression, the men made sporadic appearances at fan conventions, often appearing disheveled and irritable. By 2025, he lives in semi-retirement in Los Angeles, age 65, relying on residuals and small convention earnings. His estate is estimated at around $150,000, a sobering reflection of early fame's fleeting rewards. Ursula Ariadne, who portrayed Mrs. Gloop, the proud, overindulgent mother of Augustus, was 41 when she appeared in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Her portrayal of the stout, fussy Bavarian woman brought both comedy and critique to the story, embodying gluttony with a maternal blind spot. In real life, Ariadne was far more introverted and serious than her character. After the film, she found herself typecast in similarly frumpy, foreign roles in German television, which she came to resent deeply. Her career steadily declined through the late 1970s, and she retired from acting altogether by 1981. Ariadne was briefly married to Austrian theater director Hermann Schaeffer, but the union ended within 5 years after repeated miscarriages and his infidelity shattered their relationship. The couple had no children. Ariadne withdrew from public life, refusing interviews and reportedly suffering from chronic depression and agoraphobia. She died alone in a small Munich apartment in 1998 at the age of 68, reportedly from heart failure. Her death went unnoticed for several days until neighbors alerted the authorities. At the time of her passing, her estate was modest, estimated at around $40,000, mostly consisting of her apartment and minimal savings. REIT died largely forgotten by the public, remembered only by a cult of devoted Wonka fans. Michael Bollner, the chubby-cheeked German child actor who played the gluttonous Augustus Gloop in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was only 12 when he filmed his scenes, though his character's infamous fall into the chocolate river became iconic. With no real acting ambitions, Bollner returned to Germany and lived a life away from the spotlight. However, fame followed him in subtle, uninvited ways: mockery from peers, unwanted media attention, and a strained relationship with his parents, who regretted letting him appear in the film. He pursued accounting, opened a small tax firm in Munich, and married Anna Schreiber in 1985. The couple had 3 children, Lucas, Helena, and Frida, but the marriage slowly deteriorated as Bollner grew increasingly withdrawn and obsessed with controlling his family's finances. They divorced in 2004, and 2 of his children became estranged. Bollner, now 65, lives a quiet life alone in a modest flat. Though he occasionally appears at nostalgic fan events, he remains visibly uncomfortable. His estate is estimated at $600,000, much of it tied to his business. Diana Soul, who portrayed the gentle and soft-spoken Mrs. Bucket in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was 40 years old when she stepped into the shoes of Charlie's caring and resilient mother. Though her role was brief, her kindness resonated with audiences, anchoring the fantastical film with emotional sincerity. After the film, Soul remained active in theater, particularly community productions and educational outreach, but she struggled to find meaningful film roles. Her marriage to playwright Robert Halstead was built on mutual artistic respect, but personal tragedies strained their bond. They suffered the loss of a stillborn son in 1955 and later adopted a daughter, Eliza, whose lifelong mental health struggles brought tension and heartbreak. Financial instability plagued their lives, leading to foreclosures and years of renting modest homes. After her husband's death in 1999, Soul battled depression and was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2017. She died quietly in a Washington, D.C. hospice in 2018 at the age of 88. Remembered by theater colleagues as devoted but melancholic, her estate was modest, estimated at $250,000, most of which came from a small pension and residuals from her rare film work. Her legacy lives on quietly, like her performance, humble, heartfelt, and haunting. David Batley, who portrayed Mr. Turkentine in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie's peculiar and sarcastic schoolteacher, was 35 years old when he brought the dry-witted educator to life. His deadpan humor and exaggerated disdain for his pupils provided levity amidst the film's fantasy. Despite his memorable performance, Batley struggled to maintain steady work after the film, often relegated to minor comedic roles in British television. He married stage actress Elaine Prescott in 1974, but their relationship became strained by his frequent unemployment and heavy drinking. They divorced in 1982, sharing custody of their only child, a son named Leo, who later distanced himself from his father. Batley suffered from chronic heart issues and was diagnosed with diabetes in his early 50s, leading to a decline in health. Isolated in his final years and estranged from friends and family, he passed away in 2003 at the age of 67 due to a heart attack. Batley died nearly penniless, with an estate estimated at under $80,000, most of which went to cover medical debts. Gunter Meisner, who took on the eerie role of Slugworth, the supposed corporate spy, was 45 when he appeared in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. His gaunt face and piercing eyes gave the character an unsettling edge that haunted young viewers. After the film, Meisner returned to Germany, where his career faltered due to political tensions and his refusal to join major East German film studios. He married once, to costume designer Anke Romer, but their relationship was marred by Meisner's obsessive work habits and episodes of paranoia. They had no children and separated in the early 1980s. Meisner became increasingly reclusive, suffering a nervous breakdown in 1986 and spending time in psychiatric care. He later developed liver complications from years of alcohol abuse and passed away in 1994 at the age of 71 from liver failure. His estate, burdened by hospital costs, was valued at less than $50,000. Meisner's name faded from public memory, and his funeral was attended by only a few close friends. Peter Capel, who portrayed both the narrator and the mysterious tinker warning Charlie against the factory, was 59 when he joined in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. With his weathered face and gravelly voice, Capel delivered one of the film's eeriest moments, setting a tone of caution and wonder. A veteran of German stage and post-war television, his career dwindled after Willy Wonka, reduced to voice-over work and minor roles. Capel was married to fellow actor Bridget Yeager, but their union was deeply unhappy. They endured several miscarriages, and Capel, consumed by guilt, withdrew emotionally. They divorced quietly in 1978. He lived alone in a cramped Berlin flat, estranged from most colleagues and known to neighbors only as a quiet, chain-smoking recluse. He died in 1986 at the age of 73 from emphysema. His estate was modest, around $60,000, largely from residuals and pension, with most left unclaimed after his death. His final years were spent in obscurity, his contributions to cinema barely acknowledged. Gene Wilder, who brought Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory to life at the age of 38, delivered one of the most complex and beloved performances in cinema history, both whimsical and haunting. Behind the iconic role, Wilder's life was filled with heartache. He married 4 times, most famously to Saturday Night Live star Gilda Radner, whose tragic death from ovarian cancer in 1989 devastated him. Their marriage was loving but short, and Wilder never fully recovered. He had one adopted daughter, Catherine, from a previous marriage, but their relationship fractured after Radner's death. Wilder's career never quite reached the same peak again. He starred in fewer films, often turning down roles due to creative frustration. In his later years, he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's but chose to keep the diagnosis private to protect fans from sadness. He died in 2016 at the age of 83, with his nephew at his side, listening to Ella Fitzgerald. Wilder's estate was estimated at $20 million, much of it bequeathed to cancer research charities and his caregivers. Julie Dawn Cole, who portrayed the bratty and entitled Veruca Salt in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was just 13 when she took on the iconic role of the spoiled heiress who demanded squirrels and golden eggs. Though her performance became a staple of pop culture, Julie's acting career faltered in adulthood. After a few scattered roles in British television, she gradually retreated from the limelight, facing typecasting and the emotional weight of early fame. Her marriage to TV producer Nick Wright in 1991 was rocky and ended in divorce by 2002. They had 2 children, Emily and Adam. Though she tried to raise them away from showbiz, both struggled with identity and addiction in their teens, something Cole blamed herself for due to her own chaotic upbringing and inability to maintain a stable home. Julie endured a nervous breakdown in the late 2000s and was later diagnosed with chronic depression. Financially strained after her divorce, she supplemented her income through nostalgia conventions and memoir sales. Despite everything, she found some solace in teaching drama and working with children. Now 66, she lives a quiet, reclusive life in Surrey. Her estate is estimated at just under $300,000, much of it from her residuals and modest inheritance from her late mother. Leonard Stone, who portrayed the pushy, gum-chewing champion's father, Mr. Beauregard, brought a slick, vaudevillian flair to the role, making him both amusing and grating as Violet's overbearing parent. Stone was 48 when he appeared in the film and had already built a reputation as a reliable character actor in television. But despite his prolific resume, Stone often lamented that he never secured a leading role. He was married to Carol Klein, a former nightclub singer, and the pair had one daughter, Jennifer, whose estrangement in later years caused Stone deep emotional pain. Stone's post-Wonka years were a string of forgettable guest spots and stage gigs that paid little. He battled alcoholism privately in the 1980s, which contributed to the collapse of his marriage in 1987. A car accident in 1995 left him with chronic hip pain, forcing him into semi-retirement. Friends described his final years as lonely but dignified, often writing poetry few ever read. Stone died in 2011 at the age of 87 from cancer. His estate was estimated at $500,000, largely from real estate he had invested in during his early career. Who is your favorite character from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.